Hiya! So as I've mentioned before, I'm doing a Masters in Publishing and I'm coming up to the point where I'm going to be writing my dissertation. And my dissertation is going to be on the publishing work that is done by galleries and comparing that to publishing that's done in other contexts, for example by more mainstream publishers, and looking at what's unique, especially about certain types of galleries like small publicly funded galleries compared to massive institutions like the Tate. Many of the larger galleries and museums are like medium to large size publishing houses in their own right. They'll pump out potentially dozens of books a year, really high production value. They'll be sold in their own shops but also in general bookshops and online. Whereas smaller galleries will tend to publish fewer books. They'll have different motivations. The books will be slightly different. Some of them might be similar, and they won't necessarily be expected to bring in the kind of income that the larger galleries expect them to. And there are interesting questions about that. Why does a small gallery publish anything? You know, publishing is a way of communicating, reaching an audience, and a gallery is all about communicating and reaching an audience, but typically in a different way through exhibitions. They'll also have things like newsletters, events, talks. So what does publishing add to that? An exhibition catalogue is something that's published to coincide with or to accompany an exhibition, and it usually looks like a book of some kind. Some of them look like large coffee table style books, some of them are more like floppy pamphlets, but they tend to look more like books rather than what might pop into your head if you hear the word catalogue. Historically, that's how they would have started off, as a list of the works in an exhibition, maybe even that you would carry around with you while looking at the exhibition, that would have the titles of the pieces. But over time, those got added to. You could include pictures of the works, and importantly now they tend to include a lot more text. So some of them might just have a foreword from the director of a gallery of the exhibition, or maybe a curator. That might be it, and then just some pictures of what was in the exhibition. Others will have essays from curators, from art history experts, interviews with the artist, other historical materials reproduced, and sometimes they take the opportunity of the exhibition to produce what is effectively a book that goes way beyond the exhibition, and really it becomes a book about the artist that's intended to be useful for people who want to know about the artist regardless of the exhibition. So there might be photos of a lot more of the artist's work in the catalogue than were actually in the exhibition itself. And some artists take the concept of the catalogue and try to use that to create a work of art in itself. Blur the lines between a catalogue, an exhibition, and a work of art. Some of them are very formulaic, some of them are very unique, and it's a form of book, or a category of book if you like, that's relatively under discussed. So it's not studied too widely in publishing studies, in art studies. They are often not mentioned in a review of an exhibition, but an exhibition catalogue can be quite significant. In a way, it's the enduring physical embodiment of an exhibition that you can hold and experience days, months, years after the exhibition has closed. Sometimes that will be a very different experience from if you went to the exhibition. You know, looking at a printed artwork in a book is very different to seeing it in person, especially if it's something like video art. How do you reproduce that in a catalogue? That's an interesting question. Or even just massive paintings and drawings that take up half the wall. How do you get that across, the sense of scale? Or maybe you don't get that across and you try to do something else with your catalogue. And for now, I thought I would show you a few catalogues that I've got and talk about them. This one is from an exhibition called Anish Kapoor Drawings that was held at the Tate between the 3rd of October 1990 to the 10th of February 1991. You can see it's quite a floppy one. I got the catalogue from eBay, And I was interested in it because of another exhibition by Anish Kapoor of his paintings that took place late last year up until early this year at a different gallery. It struck me that the paintings were very different from his better known works, his public sculptures, things like Cloudgate and his sculpture at the London Olympic Park. So I was interested in that difference, and then I happened to come across this catalogue on eBay of his drawings from 30 years ago, and there's something in common with the drawings in this and the paintings that were recently exhibited, and that made me feel like I could see a line in his work, a line of thinking, and the recent exhibition was another step on the same road that he's been on for over 30 years that's reflected in this catalogue. And for me, this exhibition obviously was before I was born. No way I could have gone to see it, but the fact that the catalogue was published meant that today I could pick it up, have a look at it and get an insight into that moment in time with this particular artist's work. Here's another catalogue from a touring exhibition called Notorious, Alfred, Hitchcock and Contemporary Art. So this exhibition was shown at multiple different galleries, and there's lots of different artists who are included in here who make use of Alfred Hitchcock's work in their own work. So one example of a piece in here is Douglas Gordon's 24-Hour Psycho, a film installation where the artist had slowed down the Alfred Hitchcock film Psycho so that it was at such a slow frame rate that it was 24 hours long. So that's quite an interesting challenge to present that in a catalogue, especially because once you have frozen a frame to appear in a book, it looks the same whether it's playing at full speed or double speed or slowed down massively. One thing they've done is they've shown a picture of it on display, maybe in its original exhibition. And one challenge, actually, I think this exhibition was bringing together older artwork. So 24-Hour Psycho was originally done in 1993, and this exhibition was from 1999 to 2000. So you could have a picture from the original showing of 24-Hour Psycho in 93 in this book, which was published years later. But if there were an exhibition catalogue for the exhibition where 24-Hour Psycho was first shown, if you want the book to be ready for people who go and see the exhibition, they come out into the gift shop, they want to buy the catalogue, it needs to be ready before the show probably has even been installed. So you can't necessarily use photos in the gallery space of the show as it will really be exhibited. So that is one challenge in publishing an exhibition catalogue, because it is usually a priority that it will be ready before the start of the exhibition. Here's another one of an exhibition called Double Trouble by Sturtevant, who at MoMA, New York, Museum of Modern Art. And this was, I found out about this artist, and what she did was would take famous works of art and reproduce them. So her copies would be slightly different from the original because she's done them afresh, and I thought that was quite an interesting concept for a career of art. It was interesting that this prominent artist had spent their career recreating works by other prominent artists. And when I looked into it, one of the main books to see both the works themselves and to read about the artist, read old interviews with the artist and their place in the history of art and their relation to these artists that they were imitating and things like that, was the best place to read about that was this exhibition catalogue for an exhibition that happened in New York. So I wasn't able to go to that exhibition. I didn't even know it was happening until after it was finished. But this book serves as more than just a catalogue for that exhibition. It serves as a kind of a coffee table book and a bit of a reference for people who are interested in reading about this artist and their work. And then the last one I want to show you is one from an exhibition that I have been to. An exhibition of work by Rachel Whiteread at the Tate, Britain. Rachel Whiteread is a British sculptor, and so for this, owning this, although in a way it's quite similar to the one from MoMA New York, it's got a lot of information about the artist, it's got pieces of work that I think weren't even in the exhibition that it was produced in parallel with. So if you want to know about Rachel Whiteread and her work, this is a good book to have. But also for me, having been to the exhibition, it's a good way to relive that. It's a source, sort of a physical memory object for me, and I can see pieces as I flip through, and it is very different looking at them in a book compared to seeing them in person. But because I saw them in person, the book can serve as a bit of a prompt and makes me relive those memories and re-feel some of those feelings. So there's a few different catalogues that I've got and a few different ways that I use them and experience them. And I just wanted to make this video to sort of start a bit of a conversation about exhibition catalogues, what they are, introduce the term and what some of them look like and what they're for, some of the ones I've got and what they do for me. And then maybe I'll do some more videos talking a bit more about gallery publishing in the future. So, what do you think about exhibition catalogues? Do you have any? Do you get them when you go to an exhibition? Do you get them for exhibitions that you missed but you wished you could have gone to? Or do you just treat them as books about an artist, sort of divorced from the exhibition itself? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear more thoughts and discussion about exhibition catalogues. And as always, thank you for watching.